nylon house coat.
Well, for some. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Angel Meadows, a conversation with friends. My guest this evening is none other than, let's hope I say the last name correctly, because you guys know how bad I am with last names, Ray Bokor.
That's good enough.
Okay.
Worse.
Well, I gotta go see how, Oh, we have somebody called Sharon Nottington.
Sharon Norton. Yeah, Sharon Norton.
Okay.
Sharon Norton.
Yeah, I added some extra word syllables in there. There you go. Well, okay. So for those people who don't know you, you are a full-time practicing medium. Or working as, I never know how to put that. It gets me confused. You have your own radio show on Blog Talk Radio with a very dear lady.
It's on hold at the moment because there's so much going on in both our lives, mine and Sarah's, that we put it on temporary hold for the time being.
Okay. I said, okay, yeah. Jenya has a show with Vicky Johns on Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Such a good boy.
He's the man who knows everything.
Yes, like I said, he's my unofficial. Hey, Fellini. He's my unofficial moderator of my chat room. Anything goes wrong, I'll be like, Scott, Okay, so you also do paranormal. Try this one again. Paranormal investigations.
Yes, and at the moment I'm back working for one of Britain's most haunted hotels, which is the Schooner in Alnmouth, which is way up north in Harry Potter country, because it's it's about 4 miles away from Alnwick Castle, where most of the Harry Potters were filmed. Okay. So, and the funny thing was, while I was doing an investigation one evening, we had the Harry Potter stand-in actually come into on the investigation with us.
Oh,
so
nice.
we had a bit of a celebrity. He actually stood in for Daniel Radcliffe, and he looks nothing like him until he puts the glasses on, which is really weird.
Okay. Yes, it's like Superman. Put on the glasses, and nobody can tell you're Superman. Yeah. So, okay. So, other than being super busy with your mediumship, your paranormal investigations, which a lot of people do know about you, but what they don't know, which is what I like to sort of get into, is how did Ray start? When did you first know it? Like, whoa, this is a connection that's not everybody gets, type of thing. So tell everybody how Ray started.
It was about 16 or 17 years ago. It was a very bad time for me mentally, because I was running with stress and depression, and it just basically, I think they call it the male menopause sometimes as well. So
cool.
And I just really was looking for something, some way to change my life, and I had a reading done. My first reading, someone suggested I go to this lady for a reading. I thought, well, I'll try it. And I just got totally fascinated by how accurate she was and where she was coming from. I'd had a big interest in the paranormal anyway, with the likes of the X-Files and other TV-related shows, other media sources on abnormal things that go on in the world, and it just sort of sparked me, and I got really interested, and I wanted to know things, and basically things started happening that I needed to understand. I joined a spiritualist church, the Billingham Spiritualist Church, and I started to develop from there. And I quite like the spiritualist churches because they don't put fancy words on what we do. They just call it being aware. And if you can keep something that simple, you can make it far easier to understand. I'm very much like to control what I do, especially within the spirit world now. And I sort of went out and made my own sort of classes with my friends and people, my associates. I would practice on them simple text messages just to see what the reaction would be. With the psychic side, which was distant viewing. I tried distant viewing for a while and basically mixing it all in the big mixing pot. But there's obviously a big philosophy around with what we do, the spirit as mediums, and we have to understand very much so the psychological and spiritual side. So it's been one long journey, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it because I'm continually meeting new people. I'm continually developing new ideas about what I do and the ability to talk about it. I did a lecture today on the modern spirituality and modern spiritualism and where it all came from and where it all started and how it all works, so to speak, from my point of view. I always like to say it's from my point of view because everybody's journey is different, even if it's to get the same goal. So
yeah,
it's important that we don't thrust information on people on how we perceive spirit or how we perceive the world. Indeed, it's always got to be from the individual's point of view. And I had some great mentors actually learning the local spiritualist church. One was Norman. And he always said, Ray, he said, sometimes you want far too much, far too soon. And he's dead right. After that, I just sit back and watched and learned and watched how other mediums worked and how other mediums dealt with situations. And the other great big information he said is always give what you get. No matter how strange or how strange it's got to be, you've got to give the message out because it'll mean something perfectly normal to somebody else from their point of view. And again, it was a learning curve on that. And I really did
because you have to trust that you have to trust yourself, because as nervous as you can get sometimes with some of the things that come to you, is like the back of your head's going, what the heck? So you have to be able to trust, that you have to trust yourself. We trust spirit, but it's like you have to stop your brain from going, no.
Well,
so,
a lot of people know I've got a bit of a weird sense of humour, a bit of a dry sense of humour at times, and I just usually go for it as much as I can. And I enjoy it. It gives something back to the message and something back to the people as well. It's like company policy. I'd rather people went home happy than skinned. And I endeavour always to make people happy and cheer them up and with a joke or anything like that. And it's all part of working with spirits as far as I'm concerned. It's part of what we do. We've got to be ourselves when we do mediumship. I've come across a lot of mediums in my time with the wavy arms, the jangly jewellery, and telling, spirits are out. And I don't do that. I want it down succinct and down to earth and to the point with it. Because I don't like
Scott
that
in the chat room says, that you would fit in well around here with your dry sense of humor and that the fluffies that you don't do.
There's a guy at work where I work, and you might not know the show. And I asked him, I said, do you actually like working with me? He said, Ray, he said, every time I come to work, it's like coming to an episode of The Mighty Boosh. Now, The Mighty Boosh is a totally surreal comedy in Britain. I thought, well, I'm pretty pleased with that. He understands where I'm coming from. because part of what I've developed over the years is not just the mediumship side; it's my art side as well, and my writing and my creating, and it does help in a lot of ways. I said earlier on about doing the steampunk events and what have you, and it was just like a door that opened, and I knew I had to go through it. It's taken me.
And for those of you who are in the chat room, and you can see the picture that's in the chat room is of Ray when he went to the steampunk.
Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah.
I actually look like you won't understand that there's a character from the British TV history called Les Dawson. I'll have to find the image for you and you can Google it. But I just had to go through it this weekend. Everything was sorted. It was the second year I've been doing the steampunk events, and I just love the feel. There's no pressure on me to do anything other than what I do, and it's fun. So that's my motto.
I think that's one of the most important things is that, hey Cheryl, is that when we enjoy what we're doing, that no matter what it is, if you enjoy what you're doing, then it's going to be easy to do.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm going to pull you up on is I'm only semi-professional as a medium. I always said that if I went fully professional, I'd have to sell my soul, and I don't want to sell my soul. I'd rather do what I do, and I earn the odd penny here and there, the expenses and all the rest of it. And I always said if I have to start going looking for money, that would spoil it for me, and then I wouldn't enjoy it as much. So I left it as it is, and I get a bigger kick out of it that way. Because for me, it's not all about the money. It's not about earning pennies. It's about going out there and finding new ideas and new people and new ways of doing things and everything else that goes with it.
Well, to me, that is kind of like, okay, you say semi-professional. To me, it's like you're going for it. You don't have to be the Teresa Caputos and the John Edwards and to be that type of professional. To me, it's like somebody who's, working with it. I mean, you could work with it every day, or just on weekends or whatever. You're still working with it compared to those people who sort of like still, me, for example, sort of hide back because I'm not 100% comfortable with it, but you've had that, you've been able to get past that, not 100, to be comfortable with yourself and what you do. So, for me, that's like,
The thing is, no matter what business you go into these days or what even religion you go into, there's always somebody willing to stab you in the back of money. Full stop. I've experienced it thousands of times, but it doesn't bother me because it doesn't affect what I do. And that's why it doesn't affect me going out there. Yeah, people call me names. I don't really care. They can call all they want. I've got nothing left to prove to people now as regards mediumship. I've done just about everything I can think of on every single level, including a couple of years ago, I went onto the higher masters, the ascended masters levels, and started working with angels, if you want, and the higher energies, and now I'm comfortable to actually bring that to the table if and when and need be. So it was something again that I had to learn. I needed to learn. I was destined to learn, so to speak, and it's brought another dimension to what I'm actually doing. And when you can sit and talk to a complete stranger, strange things, and they can say, "Oh yeah, I totally understand." It gives you fulfillment that you've actually gained that knowledge, and that somebody geopolitically agreeing with you.
Yeah, it's nice when you can have that conversation with people, and you don't have to explain everything. It's just it works.
No.
They understand, so it's like nice.
So someone pointed out to me the other day that my crowning achievement as a medium was about 3 years ago, and I'd done a total night, totally blindfolded, I didn't know who the guests were. I didn't know how many guests there were. The only thing I was led into the room with a blindfold, recorded the night, and I had somebody tapping me on the shoulder when they need to indicate something, and that wasn't all the time. And it was just, I think, throughout the full hour and a half, I got tapped on the shoulder twice. And I was absolutely over the moon that the response afterwards was great, because I met a lot of people through that event. They became my friends because of what they saw. And I'm really pleased that they understood. And it was sort of enlightening to me. A lot of people said, "Oh, you can't do that. Your reputation's on the line." I said, "No, I just want to do this. I know how to do this." Mm-hmm. And my reputation is about truth. I believe in telling the truth, especially when it's working with the spirit and understanding that. I was actually talking to some people today, and I was explaining that one of my good friends that I work with is actually a parapsychologist who actually is here to say mediums are frauds. And we get on along like a house on fire because we both got trust each other in each other's beliefs, and we get on basically. He knows I'll be honest with him when it comes to my mediumship and what I'm picking up and all the rest of it. And that's all I've ever asked of anybody. And it's because he's a member of the magic circle, he can know how the tricks work, so to speak. But it's just something else that I can sit on both sides of the fence, and boy do I. I get into a lot of trouble when I call mediums out because I want to see it done properly. Okay. I want to see it done honestly.
You say you call them out. How do you because I know that you there's church meetings, there's open circles, almost weekly, if not daily, over in the UK, which is something I wish we could have more of over here. But we're getting there. But do you go to them and to encourage?
I'll encourage where encouragement due. I was at a Mind, Body and Spirit fair a couple of years ago, and I just finished the Ascended Masters course. And this lady, she had a set of angel cards with her, and she was claiming to do angel card readings. She was claiming she worked with angels, and she asked for a reading off me, and I said to her, "You're not there yet, but you're nearly there." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're not quite working with angels, but you're nearly there." And she did a total flip on us, and I said, "Well, look," so I'm not saying you don't work with them, I'm just saying you're not quite there. And she went totally bananas with me, literally. But the professionalism, I wasn't being nasty about it. I wasn't, shouting or screaming. I was being honest with her. And she probably still doesn't talk to me. I don't really care at the end of the day. I do this from my heart's point of view, and the truth is there. Again, she took the wrong end of the stick with it as far as I was concerned. But there again, her ego was bruised. And there's nothing like your ego being bruised when you've got a big, massive ego, is there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have one of those except for my hair. No, I'm kidding. Okay, we have Scott mentioned when you did the blindfold thing, when you explained about the blindfold thing, he says it's such good proof too. There's no way that you can read the body language and subtle cues from the center. Well,
this first reading I ever had, the first thing I noticed about her, she never looked at me once. Through the whole session, she never once looked at me. And even when we did the psychometry and placed my hand on the crystal ball, and then she read the things after that, she never looked at me once. She always talked away. And it's something that I started doing was actually talking away from people. And obviously on radio, when you're giving a message to somebody, or over the internet, you're giving a message to somebody, you're not totally connected to them. And the whole point is finding that connection with the spirit and with the person and bridging that connection. And that was the same when I was doing learning to do the distant viewing. You were totally isolated from the person. In this the case, the person I was doing the thing was 50 miles away in Leeds.
Okay.
And it was a case of the disconnection was there, and you don't realise how disconnected you can be with people, and how connected all of a sudden you can be with people. And doing the radio, it's exactly the same. You're not connected to them. You can't see their faces. You can't see their reactions. You can see very little of what's going on, and you're waiting for a text to come up saying yes, no, or maybe, or I haven't got a clue what you're talking about most of the time.
Okay.
But it's that disconnection that helps you become a better medium and be listen to your heart and listen to your head. Simple, straightforward.
Yeah, I can understand it, because, like you said, for me, when I speak to people, I have to look into their face, because that's what I do. But it makes sense if you want to not feed off of their body action, but just feel the connection. I guess not looking at their face in their eyes, this would be a good thing.
Well, we had me and Sarah had a little rule. If they asked a stupid question, we never answered it, especially on the radio.
Okay,
One of them,
what would you consider to be a stupid question? Am I moving next week?
somebody phoned up from a phone booth saying, I've just been shot out my house. Will I get another one? And I said, you will do if you get off the phone and go find one. And the other one was, will my kitten live? And I said, well, have you asked the vet? So stupid questions we tend to ignore.
Okay, yeah.
And because a lot of the time on the radio, I was actually not letting them speak at all while I gave them the message. So again, I just gave them the connection. I went with the connection I felt.
Yeah. I never can go to a show, and I've been to a few different shows, and I can never come up with one question. Like they say, call in with your question. I can never do it, because every time I ask a question, I feel like I already have the answer in my head. So when I go for a reading at a show, I just say, I'll take a general. Now, would you rather, when somebody comes to see you, to have a specific question in mind, or just say, okay, give me whatever spirit gets?
Part of the psychology of this is when you ask a question, your mind goes into 50-50 mode. 50-50, you'll get it right or wrong. If you don't ask the question, you go with them. We always went with the message first, or if I'm doing private readings, I always go with the message first. Then I ask them as a final treat, if you want, are there any questions you need to ask? Hopefully by that point, I've actually answered all the questions they needed to know.
Yeah.
And that makes it a little bit extra special.
Yeah. I had that once. Fellini in the chat room. Okay, hold on, let's go back. Cheryl says sometimes criticism is a big help if given and received in a nice way, which I'm sure you do all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
It wouldn't be Leanne, I would point and giggle, unfortunately. And she has seen connections among strangers happen.
Yes.
So that's
connections among strangers. It's a really weird thing. While I was at the steampunk event, I needed some glue because I needed to stick something. So I just said to the first person I came up with, "You don't happen to have any glue, do you?" He said, "Oh, yeah, I do." So he sorted the problem out, sorted the glue out, and fixed the problem. And I said, "I'll pop back later and give you a message from Spirit, a favour for a favour." He said, "Yeah, cheers." So I was in the reception area about 2-3 hours later, and I seen him passing. I grabbed him. I said, "Go get that pain in your chest sorted." He said, "You know you're supposed to sort it. Go get it sorted." And he looked at me and he just said, "Yeah, I know. I've been meaning to go to the doctors." I said, "Go to the doctors. I'm telling you to go to the doctors." So he literally stunned, sort of walked away stunned, and I talked to him a little bit later on, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to go to the doctors. I've been meaning to for a while." And it's a simple connection. A lot of times I've seen mediums make it look so difficult. It isn't. It's just opening your mouth and saying something. A lot of my friends who are training as mediums or learning about the journey don't have the kahunas to actually give a message to somebody. And it's strange because these generally people, I've got a lovely friend at work, her name's Carol, and I say, you're going to give a message? She says no. And then I'm looking at her interacting with other people, and she's a right gobby so-and-so. I said, all you've got to do is take that gobby so-and-so and put it into your messages and see where it leads and see where it takes you. Take that personality into your messages. And said, because you'll be guided once you relax into what you're doing, it'll just flow out, literally. And I remember sitting in a church service once, and I said to this lady, "So you're going to give a message out tonight?" And she says, "No, I don't know how to do it." I said, "It's dead easy. Just do what I do and wing it." She said, "Wing it?" She said, "Yeah." So you're cheating? I said, "No, I'm letting spirit do the work. They just tell me what to say, and I just open my gob and say it without thinking." And that's the way it's. If you let them take that amount of control, you'll always be a good medium. You'll always have something to say.
Well, in the chat room, Fellini says there's still a great misconception of mediumship. It's important to tell people how you work. And in America, if I generalize, most believe it's about fortune telling.
Yes. Where I was today, which is Whitby, on the seafront, about 3/4 of a mile away from where we were, there's a so-called famous psychic, and somebody a famous fortune teller, a Gypsy Rose Lee type thing, and someone mentioned today that she's got a sign on her door saying, "Sorry, due to unforeseen circumstances, I'm not available today." And I said to him, "Well, if I ever put a sign up like that, it'll be due to foreseen circumstances. I'm not here today." So yes, the misconception between fortune telling and mediumship. To be a fortune teller, you have to pass a test and get a license to do it, because it's totally different. It's totally different legislation. Whereas as regards medium, you don't have to register as a medium. You can't get a license to be a medium. All at the end of the day, you've got to do is prove your worth. I'm actually associated with the Spiritual Workers Association of Great Britain. I'm insured to around about £2 million for medical malpractice. So if I give the wrong advice out, they can sue me. Okay. But the first thing that we're taught to do, and including by trade and standards of the UK, is give a disclaimer out and make them understand what they're getting themselves into.
That's true. That's one of the things I noticed, and with a lot of my friends in the UK, is that everything has to be. I have a friend. She's a Reiki master, and she has to have, her license, all her paperwork in order. She has to have insurance, and for everything that you guys do. And I was like, how can you have? I understand the fact, like, when it comes to healing, but how is it that you have to have insurance on giving people messages?
Because it's classed as if you tell them your Auntie Renee says arsenic is good for coughs and colds, and they take the arsenic.
Okay, I get that. Oh.
You see, then you also have to.
It's like do not put live animals in the microwave. That's one of the stickers that they gotta have. I got it. Okay.
There's also another one we have to tell them is for entertainment purposes only. And unfortunately, I mean, it's sometimes I'm like, I don't want to say it, but it has to be said. And also that you're not ruling their lives. You're not telling them how to live their lives.
Yeah.
I have a good friend from Worcester in Boston, and I'd given her a message about a new boyfriend, and she went and dumped him. And I said, I didn't tell you to dump him. I was absolutely furious with her. Absolutely furious. I never told you to dump him. You make your own mind. I said, well, I did make my own mind after you gave me the reading. I said, you're not supposed to. So that sort of thing does, because I'm not here to live someone's life. I'm here to prove spirit exists and give it the evidence and give a message, which is what it's all about.
Now, I have somebody, well, we'll say a quick hi to Eric Glenn, who just popped into the chat room. Got a couple of questions in the chat room that I'm going to get to, but that made me think of something. Now I lost, which I'm really good at. I lost my questions. Shoot. Okay, we're going to go. That means I have to go to the chat room. That's why. All right. Okay, letting people know that by choice they can make the change and the path. Letting people know that any choice they make can change the path and outcome of what they are looking for. So yeah, this thank you brought me back to where I was going. A woman, when I first started coming out about what I do and yada yada, a woman said, I will never go see somebody like you. I was like, okay, fine. Can I ask why? And she says, well, when I was a kid, somebody did a reading on me, and in French terms a little bit different, but basically somebody did a reading on her and told her she was going to die when she was 23 of such and such cancer. And I said, well, first off, that woman needs a good swift kick in the ass. Sorry, my language. But needs a good swift kick in the butt. And I said, for me, the way I look at it's just a guide. The messages that we give you are not, like you say, it's not a hard and fast rule. If I'm going to you're going to leave my house for fortune tellers. You're going to leave my house and you turn left and you're getting hit by a bus. I said, what the hell are you going to do? And they're like, turn right. There you go. You have to, everything that people tell you that's going to happen. That would be a psychic, not a medium. You have to take with a grain of salt, because you can make your own choices. And I was like you said, great Aunt Annie says, take arsenic for your cold. Well, I made the choice not to take it. Thank you, Annie. You're like, okay, you know what you died from, darling, But so I think it's important that people understand that what you do is it's helping them. It's a healing form for some people. Absolutely. But you also gotta, like I said, take everything as thought about.
Well, part of the healing process of losing anyone is obviously, getting to grips with the way your life's changed because this person's gone. And often I get requests from people who literally within days have just lost somebody, and I say no, because the grieving situation's got to come in, and then we will talk. And I recommend they don't go see mediums for at least a month, because they've got to get to grips with normal life before they get to grips with any message that can come through from spirit. And a lot of mediums, professional mediums, will just check the local dailies to see who's passed away, literally, just so they can make a fast buck. And it's wrong. Going back to the fortune tellers as well, and this is the same thing. There used to be, I can't think of his name, I've lost his name. He played Inspector Clouseau in the early films, the Pink Panther movies. And he used to have a psychic. He used to go to a psychic, pay him hundreds of pounds for asking what he should do. And what they showed the psychic doing beforehand was checking Variety to see what films were coming up and what was going on. And then the guy would come in and get the reading off him, get the message. I feel the GC or whatever is very important to you. And he'd repeat Peter
Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers.
Sellers, and he literally took it on faith. This fortune teller was right.
Wow.
So if you know your client, you can get away with murder, literally telling them the future. So that's how we distinguish them between them. Now, again, there's another difference with tarot readers, because tarot readers are fortune tellers. Now, you'll find that mediums use tarot cards as intuitive cards. They're there for intuition. They're there to be guided, if you want.
Yeah.
And one of my learning and teaching when I was working for SOC, Spiritualist Online, that I taught people how to do readings off DVD covers or CD covers or whatever they had to hand, because it just proved the point that these cards, tarot cards, are not magical.
No,
they are just an intuitive guide to what you do with the spirit world. So
we have a question in the chat room from Scott, who wrote all in capitals so this old lady can see good. It also shows the importance of getting a good mentor teacher, both to help us develop, but also in how best to use our abilities safely and with professional attitude and ethics.
Absolutely. As I said, Norman, who was one of my mentors and tutors, he told the worst jokes in the world, but he held circles up. He just gave long messages out, and he started irritating the other mediums. He never irritated me because I just sat and watched. And then I realized what he was doing. He was actually teaching patience. He was teaching people to be patient with the other people in the circles. And for all it was annoying, because my friend who used to go to the circle with me, he used to ration so and so and so and so, and I said, well, he's just let him do it. He's doing it on purpose. So the more you get irritated, the less work you'll do. So just relax and sit and enjoy the moment. We all want to work with spirit, and we all want to get out there and do and flex our wings and show off our talents and all the rest of it. But if you've got patience, spirit will work for you when you need to. And he taught me the other, which was because I used to sit with my eyes closed and said, "Why are you sat with your eyes closed?" I said, "Because I'm trying to see spirit." He said, "Well, you don't need to see spirit. You just have to believe they're there, or understand they're there, or feel they're there. You just have to go with the flow." Because often I'd fall asleep in circles because I work early shifts, and I'd go to the circle at night time, and by the time it was 7 o'clock, I was drifting off. So he taught me to keep my eyes open, and it worked far better.
Scott says that's an awful, most frequently used word in the whole spiritual development thing. Patience.
Yes.
Yeah,
People just. I got one of the circles I was part of. They used to have these people who used to be just plain nasty. I got as developing, I was getting to grips with what I was doing and getting to comprehend it. So I made mistakes, but when I got one right, would get smarmy little remarks. "Oh my God, it looks like you got one right." And I'm thinking, "Oh, you're going to ruin somebody on that. Somebody who hasn't got the patience or the kahunas that I've got, to get up there and do this. You're going to ruin it for them and spoil it for them." And one of my own personal heroes as a medium is Gordon Smith. And he said, the no word is not accepted in a circle. But if you're giving a message out and somebody says no, you don't say, oh dear, I'm wrong. Take it to heart. You sit there and say, "I'm not going to change the message. It's what I've been told to say. Take it with you and let me know if it comes to fruition." And because we're actually putting people under pressure to understand the message, they usually get it wrong. They try to push the pressure back onto you to get it right. So there is a lot of psychology in what we do. And Gordon Smith said about one of his friends. He said one of his friends, she told that the message was wrong by the person she was giving the message to, and she never worked for 2 years. And then 2 years down the line, she met up with this lady again. She said, "Hey, it's been ages since I've seen you." I said, "You know that message you gave me? I was too shy to say it was right. I was too shy." So that spoiled her development for 2 years. So
Yeah.
you always have to have understand the psychological effect that it has on people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a two-way street. And that's the beauty of what we do, because we're dealing with people with who are suffering with grief or looking for answers or whatever we need. We need that compassion, that understanding of how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest gifts we have, and I've just interrupted you, is listening to people, listening to their voices, listening to the way they speak as well.
Yeah. I agree. One of the things that we're going to do a quick run from the Eric Glenn says, Nellie used to say everyone can be a yes medium. A working medium only becomes a working medium when they hear the word no.
Exactly, yes. And if you're prepared to accept the word no and move on, all the better for you. Because you can't be right all the time. And let's say it might be 2 months down the line when they'll get in touch with you and say, "You were right, I worked it out." Because, as I said, you're putting them under pressure.
Yeah, that's true. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is, yes, when you want to have a reading done by a medium or a psychic or whatever, people do their research and try to find out, okay, do I want to have Eric, or do I want to have, do I want to have Scott do it, or do I, or do I want to have Ray do it? They figure out who they want. And when they figure out, okay, I'm going to go to Ray, but they also have to figure out, they have to be ready for, like getting stuff that you don't understand. I have learned that when people give me readings, I take notes. And I won't say no, but I'll say I'll keep it. I'll think about it. Because people are just like you said. This woman's nope. It's not true, and which made this young woman sort of, I guess, doubt herself for a couple of years. It sort of stopped her in her tracks. But don't. It's not only do you have to pick out your person you want the reader through your reading to give you your message, but you also have to be prepared. I think the sitter has to be prepared to hear things that they're not too sure of or that they don't like to hear. But don't say no without, because it does, what we do as a sitter affects you as a medium. I don't believe, they don't see it, so it's
The thing is that obviously within the Spiritualist Church there are rules and regulations that are guidelines. You don't tell people they're going to die. You don't say things like "don't go in the car tomorrow." But there are times as a medium that you come across somebody who is literally in their family who's is due to pass, and they know it. They're just waiting. They want the pain to be over and done with. So the whole point there would be to cushion the blow and show compassion to the people who are suffering, not just the person who's passing away. So it's one big, it's actually caring about what you're saying and what you're doing. There was an instance in my local church where a medium came and he said, he literally turned around and said, "You better go home, the angels are gathering." He was like, "What?"
Well, was that Eric who said that?
No, it wasn't Eric, no.
Fellini in the chat room says, many don't know or never have seen a medium. They don't know what to expect. So it's important to explain a little bit how you work and what to expect from the sitter.
You expect them to be honest.
Yeah.
You expect them to be honest. I did a reading today for a lady, never met her before, and about halfway through I said, "Listen," I said, "I'm going to stop the reading." She said, "Well, why?" She started to get worried. I said, because I don't feel I'm connected to you. I don't feel this. I'm doing the job I'm supposed to do. And she started to worry. She thought, well, is something going to? I said, no, I'm being totally honest with you. There's nothing wrong. I'm just not connected with you. And I could go through this reading and take your money and happily walk away. And, some mediums would be great about that, but I don't want to do that. I'm showing you, being totally honest with you, I don't feel I'm connected with you. And I obviously didn't charge her or anything like that. I mean, it was just a little pittance of money, but it didn't really matter. And that's what I'd expect of a medium, of any medium I sat with. If I wasn't happy with the product I'd been given, I'd be like, would be rubbish. Or I wouldn't be that nasty, obviously. I'd just say, I'm just not really connecting with this. And if I felt that there was some connection there, I'd say so. I'd thank them. The lady actually recorded the session, which I was pleased about. And she said, "Do you want me to delete the recording?" I said, "Why? It's your recording."
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it might make better sense, but I just felt at that time it wasn't making sense, and I didn't feel I was with you. And it's important that as a medium, I'm working with the person that I'm sat with, and honesty before anything else. I think I mentioned earlier on, I'd rather people went home happy than skint. It's a simple thing. It's
Well, I have a question for you, and I think I've asked every medium who's been on my show, and I know I've asked Eric this, and I think I asked Michael. No, I don't need those. Dude, then what would I do with all that money? I'd have to travel around and torture people other than just, on camera. I'd actually do. And y'all was just like, you guys already got a no mama feedback and already there. But if somebody comes to you and says, I think I have this connection and I want to be a medium or I want to be a psychic or whatever, and you feel, I know everybody has a certain amount of the abilities, the gifts, but you feel that where this person is at their life is where they're going to be. They're not going to be, continue. They can't go, not that they can't, but they shouldn't go further.
I'll always say, first of all, if I feel anything, I should say, go sit in circle at the Spiritualist Church. Don't go to the local well-being centre, because they'll charge you a fortune and you'll get nothing for it other than no money. Go sit in Spiritualist circle, enjoy the place, get used to the place, and then decide what you're going to do, whether you want to develop as a medium or understand whatever you want to do with your life. It's the easiest way. It's like going to a book club, as far as I'm concerned. You make friends with these people. You find where you're supposed to be. The local Spiritualist church, the first one I went to, was 10 miles away in Billingham. It was only about 6 months later that I found out that the house over the road was the local Spiritualist church. So that's how how psychic I was. The Spiritualist church that I mean over the road was the local Grangetown Spiritualist church, and I was just like, so that's why they go in there on a Wednesday night. And it's about a year or so afterwards that I started going to the Grangetown one, which is over the road, on a regular basis, because I was taken away from the Billingham one. I'd learnt all I could from them, and this was a new group of friends coming in, and new ideals.
Yeah, it makes sense that we spread our wings by meeting new people. We spread our wings and learn different things from different people. Each person that enters into our life will teach us something one way or the other. Eric in the chat room says, I usually say, if you're not sure, go see Ray, then run away fast.
Might say that again. All right. I usually say, if you're not sure, go see Ray, then run away fast. Cheers, Eric. I will get you back.
That's nice. You have such nice friends.
I'm going to quote Liam Neeson. I have a particular set of skills. I know where you live.
Well, the next time he's on the show, I'll let you know so you can come in and pick up him. But have you ever had, he's telling the truth and he's moved. Have you ever had a sitter who you knew, or whether it was in church or private sitting or whatever, that knew that no matter what you said, they had those walls up, and it was like, I ain't gonna say, a true skeptic, and no matter what you said, even if it was, straight on smack you upside the head, right, that they're gonna still sit there and say no.
I was doing some ghost hunts, and one of the guests, I will say now, he's a very good friend now, and him and his wife are both good drinking partners when I go up to Carlisle. But he, all the way through, we were doing a circle, and all the way through, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in this way, I don't believe in this way, and all the rest of it. We recorded the session, we brought the spirit through, we identified them. I got validation for the whole session next month and sent it to him because we had the same experience with a different group of people. And all the way through, he was saying, I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't believe. And then when he went down at the lobby, he was stood there and he sort of turned white and sort of ran a little bit because he said somebody's just whispered in his ear. And I was speaking to his wife at the time, and she said, I don't know why he doesn't believe. His mother was a bloody medium. So why he doesn't believe, I don't know. I think he's just been awkward. And he's the same through and through ever since. And I've got to love him because he's a great guy. So we get on like a house on fire. And like I say, when I go up to Carlisle, him and his wife and all his friends are my drinking partners for the night. So it's skeptics are skeptics. We had a gentleman on one ghost hunt, and he was ghost hunt, most haunted, all the tribe and all the rest of it. But he was the tight cheek t-shirt, muscular, bald head, tight jeans, type rugby type player type guy. And they said, oh, then you can join in for the night. I said, but we'll see what we can do with you. And we're doing a little experiment, and with the experiment, I make them into metal detectors or ghost detectors of the evening, and I move them through different areas of energy and let them experience it. And then we might finish with a bit of mediumship, or a bit of, I can't think of the name, my brain's gone dead. So what happened was, I started off this, I moved him a couple of steps forward with his eyes closed. I said, right now, I said, what I want you to do is, if you feel like you're going down, tell me. He said, pardon? I said, if you feel like, and I got the word like out, and he was on the floor, a lump of jelly. Now, this was a big bloke, and he was a lump of jelly. He was crying his eyes out. And we spent the next 10 minutes getting him sorted, getting him all done and dusted off and what have you. He said, I'll never doubt you again, Ray. I'll never doubt you again. He said, I looked at you, and your whole face had changed. It was just like totally different from what I think. The next thing I know, I'm on the floor. And he said, I'll never ever doubt you again. I thought, yeah.
Yes, spirit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I think I've listened to so many people, and it's curious. I'm curious as to see how many people. Okay, well, he won't be here for much longer. Feeling me so cool. Get back. I'm always curious as to whether or not people, like when if I go to somebody and I say, this is what I want to do, and they say, yeah, sure. Are they gonna, just so they can take the money, because that's a question I've asked everybody, is because people will say, I'm going to school to become a medium, and I'm kind of like, have you ever had any inkling like this before? And is there anything in your past sort of given you, the idea that this is something that you can do? And
regards me, it was just something I really got. I have to know how things work, whether it be a camera, a computer, or anything like that. And when I got the reading, I just had to know how she did it and how she was connecting and how it all worked. Because I'm a licensed radio ham, and I've been for 30 odd years, I already understood the principles of electromagnetic waves and the frequency, the base frequency down at brainwave right through to intergalactic dust of particles, which the big dishes pick up, is the same thing. It's a little sine wave. It's a single sine wave like that, the one vibration, whatever you want to call it. So it was just literally something I wanted to explore and understand. And as I got drawn into it, that was it. Someone said to me once, "Are you sure you want to be a medium?" I said, "Yeah, too right." And it was something I wanted to understand, but it made such a difference to my life at the time because I was ill, and I literally spent the first 2 or 3 years emptying all the rubbish out of my life, literally, and reorganizing what was up here to fit and suit the future and my understanding and my learning and my writing and my posting photographs and what have you. You have to do your burglary shift. Yeah, I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, Eric. I was up at 5 o'clock yesterday morning, Eric.
Well, we won't keep you much longer. First off, Eric's lightweight. I won't say how many times you've had to go early.
Yeah. Eric, you're old and retired. I think it was retired. Yeah, it's just that word spelled a little differently, and I can't say it over here.
Oh, I know you boys are gonna pick on each other. Loading the crate. No, Scott. Okay, here we go. Pick on. Oh, okay. Scott can't even talk. We're doing good tonight. There you go. But yeah, this has been, first off, thank you, because our conversation is coming to an end. You have to go sleepy dodos. First off, thank you very much for taking out the time today. I know you had a busy weekend, and it was an interesting conversation, because I like when we get that conversation to get to not just, like I said, not just a dog and pony show, not just a reading show. You know, so many people hear you on the radio or hear you, it's like, can I get a reading? No, I want people to get to know a little bit more about Ray. So, but the next time you come back, you owe me an hour. Well, so the next time you come back, maybe we'll do readings. See how it goes.
Next time we'll talk about angels. We'll talk about their ascended masters. We'll talk about past life regression. We'll talk about aliens, because I figured it out finally. What suits me, what from my point of view, and I'm quite happy with this thing. So I'm quite happy with. I not the little green men either, or little grey men. I figured it out. I finally figured out what suits me, to how to explain it. So we'll have to have a talk about that next time. I do believe, yes, they are spiritual entities. So
why not?
Apart from the lizards, they're evil. Part of that TV show V, anyway.
Was it V? Yeah, there you go. Eat mice. Ugh, okay, fine. Not gonna go there. All right. Again, thank you very much. Ew, Ray. So not nice. That's a nice way to end the show. I love you. And thank you very much for coming on. And we will talk about having you back again to talk about everything but eating hamsters.
Okay, Ray. Thank you very much for having me on. And I hope everyone has a nice week ahead. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye. Okay, I'm gonna take. Oh, pause. Oh, okay. All right, so we're going to continue on. It was nice to have Ray here, but let's continue on with just chatting. There are a few things that sort of popped up to me when messages were being typed. Anybody wants to go can go, it's fine. When you talked about morals and ethics, has anybody ever come into contact with somebody who has, you knew in the end that it was a bunch of BS, to say the least? And how did you deal with it? How did you feel when I'm not just talking in general, I'm talking in the spiritual way. So, Cyril, you can make up. Next time you come on, you better make up, child. You cringed. Okay, but what did you do about it besides cringing, girl? Because here are these people, I believe that's mediums and spiritualists and the like do it to help, to heal. You know, like I said, my good friend Eric, he gives little messages every so often, and I know he does it. Sometimes he'll sit there and go, "Seriously, you want me to say that?" Because he has a nice little friend Teddy, and it's like, you know, he does, and because he does it for helping, he doesn't do it because, you know, he's going to get anything from it. And Scott and Fellini, Cheryl, I'm just getting to know you, so we're gonna have to have a chat one day. But and I have a guest in the chat room as well. Sorry, I didn't see you here. I don't know if it's Ray or not because he was a guest, but say that bye. With my mouth, it was given. I let them know that they need to really learn to connect. Otherwise, they are just blowing smoke. Yes. And I think that we need to let, when you have that moment, when you know that the person is not, you know, doing the reading or the sharing or the whatever the case may be, probably that you should make sure that you do step up and say, hey, you know what, it really didn't work. And if it's a reputable person, they're going to say, well, if you can't take it, then that's, you know, I understand that. But don't, especially if they go off, well, then you go on Facebook and go, do you know, mommy? There you go. Fellini, I think it starts with us first to know what is ethical and what isn't. Is it okay to link in with somebody without permission? No, it isn't. Many do that anyway, yes. I have a good thing. I didn't have a problem with being bipolar. Popular. Popular. I don't have a problem with you being bipolar either, but I have a problem that I should really put my glasses on more often or make the print bigger. Don't mess up the questions. The guests are gone. That must have been right. But okay, and Eric says, in fact, some people use it for material gain. Stop typing, I can't read that fast. Some people use it for material gain, will always be there. You just have to believe spirit will find a way to bring proof, and you will see the change happen before your eyes. That's a good one. Yes, very true. And from Scott Stevenson, if it were clearly to get something for a stranger, what? But if you clearly get something for a stranger, maybe seeing a loved one beside, would you do a Long Island medium? Oh, Eric? He would just have to blame it on Teddy. There are things, Cheryl in the chat. Fellini, question was for you. If you saw somebody, a total stranger, and you saw a spirit standing beside them, and they wanted you to give them a message, total stranger out of the, you know, Long Island medium, would you do it? Cheryl says she would. Cool. And we have already. That's another question that's good though. If you have because you've linked involuntarily. But if the person who's crossed over wants you to, you know, wants to get this message, and you be the one that was there, you know, that you have to sort of like, you know, give it. Yeah, no, Scott in the chat room says, I don't know if I'd be brave enough. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. Yeah, because it's like somebody once said, sorry, I can't give message to anyone who didn't have the time to get their makeup on together. Spontaneous. Again, we have agreed to disagree on that one because it's the way we cut it, and yeah, but she still must go in and say, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. You follow me around. If I see something, if I get something, you can go ask them, and you know. But I don't know if I would have the. I think I would have to the cojones, as Ray said, to actually, no, she doesn't live in Hollywood. She lives in Long Island. Okay, Cheryl said the person that I've talked to was in so much pain that I couldn't ignore them. That's Spanish for balls. I know what it means, but I couldn't. I just read it out loud. The first time you ever did that was uncomfortable. Scott's a good hugger. But, yeah, no. You know, I'm doing all this talking here, and we do have mics on for Mr. Glenn and Mr. Stevenson. So whenever you're ready, you can just sort of let me know, and I'll unmute you. You know, I don't want to unmute you in the middle of a passing wind. If you want to come on, like you can. But yeah, I think it's not an easy thing. It's not a decision that everybody says, oh, and it's like when I first started out, I always thought like, God, I'd love to see spirit. I'd love to, hear the words in my ear like people. And then I met Eric, and he told me about Teddy, and I said, I never want to see my guys because they can be kind of scary. Special but scary. So, but you have to pay attention to what you ask for and because what you're gonna get is not always what because it's very true. Yeah, what you're gonna get is not always what you expect. I had a young friend who she heard voices constantly. She heard spirit constantly around her, and this was when I was just sort of coming to understand about about spirit. Thank you. And I said, you have to sort of, like with friends, you sort of have to make boundaries. And isn't there a way to do this? And I didn't know as much as I know now. I didn't know the people that I know now. I didn't get the knowledge that I have now. But she was supposed to be going to somebody as a mentor, and I said, just make sure you tell them that it's very important that you have to set up boundaries, like friendships. You can't, you just can't have your friends coming over any time of the day, opening the door and coming into your house. You could be going to the bathroom, you could be whatever with your partner, and so you have to have boundaries. So when you're starting into spirit, and you have to set up your boundaries with them. Fellini says, I was there once and was told I never would, and then I developed. But that's where things about setting boundaries. You can choose when you want to work. Eric says, I've done it, and it's a bit scary. If you believe in spirit, it's okay to sneak in a reading on someone. Just wear sneakers in case you're not wearing house. But, yeah, so it's always a learning path. Even for Eric, he's still learning. Sneaky little bugger. I think we always will continue to learn. And I know I've had conversations with Eric, and I know he says he's a practicing medium because he hasn't gotten it right yet. I believe nobody ever gets it right until they've crossed over, and then they can realize whether they were getting it right or not. And if not, then they can come back and try it again. That's just my take on things. So anybody else have any questions or any comments? I'm not going to ramble on for an hour all by myself. Cheryl says, you don't claim to be anything. I claim that you are a healer. That is the box I put people in. Because a healer is, even if you're just giving a message or if you're just giving a hug. Either way, it's still comfort of some sort or another. So yeah, you wouldn't have come into my little corner. Oh, the Glen has gone to go bid device and we call Ray a lightweight. So, anybody have any other questions?
Cheryl, do you have a black and white collie, or did you have a black and white collie? It looks quite fine-boned, very pretty dog, but it's black and white and it looks like a collie, a border collie.
Cheryl, that was for you. Scott, my turn on the camera. And she says,
Okay,
yeah.
I was just checking I was with you. Okay,
But
it looked like a collie. It's a longish body, black and white, medium length coat. Okay. Young, maybe 2, 3, that's a real looks young. Okay. There's a Native American connection around you. I don't know if we've spoken before and I'm just remembering, but there seems to be a Native American connection around you. What do you call them? I'm seeing a chest plate with beads and whatever that the Native Americans wore, and also the healing bag, the bag and the wear around their neck. If you don't have one, you need to sit and make one. Okay. You need to make your medicine bag. And you also need to sage your house. There's a lot of stuff in your house that's it's not bad. It's just mischievous. It's like kids playing, and it's stuff that you don't really need. It's nice sometimes when the keys go missing and you find them hours later and you're all stressed and all harassed. But you actually need to sort your house out. Some of the spirits that are getting drawn into your house are also elementals. I don't think they've ever been human, so they don't really understand human emotions. But they also need to be, it's like Feline said earlier about boundaries. You need to start creating your safe place. Your house at the moment is safe, but it's not a safe place to sit and work and develop. So a full sage cleaning, getting rid of all the elementals, fairy folk, tree spirits, earth spirits, water spirits, the dryads, the leprechauns, all of those sort of elementals. It's all nature-based stuff. And you need to sort them all out. Go through your whole house from attic to spare cupboards, cupboard under the stairs, even under the floorboards, and a space around your house. Just do the whole lot. If you sage inside and just visualize outside, just saging a lot. I know it's a bit of a pain, but it's going to help you sort things out, get things into the way you want it to be. Once it's been saged and cleaned, then that's going to help you work out what it is you actually want to do, because at the moment you're a little bit all over the place, is the best way to describe it. The person I've got with me is a very old native woman, grandmother, or great-grandmother, no, grandmother I want to say. She's wearing the blanket with all the different animals embroidered onto it or sewn onto it. She looks like a medicine woman or a healer. I think she's going to be working quite a bit with you. I don't think it's a stranger, I'm sure it's your grandmother. Very long grey hair. Not sure whether it's just one plait down her left hand side, or two. Oh God, can't quite see the number of eagle feathers, but there's definitely an eagle feather in the back, black and white. A bit of a wrinkly face. But she's such a quiet, strong person. Yeah, he's right, Eric. I got off. Night, mate. Eric's just gone. But she's such a strong lady. She's going to be working with you when you're ready. Yes, you, Cheryl. You need to sort things out. Once you've sorted your house and you've done your purifying and cleansing, you can then start working on you. But you need the safe place for you to start doing all that sort of stuff. If you're being poked by a leprechaun or a tree spirit or a mischievous little elemental, you're going to be distracted. So sort your house and then start working on yourself. But also be aware of your native connection. I know the Irish Celtic I think there's some shaman stuff in that side if you were to look far enough back. But if possible, it's going to do you good to go to a Sundance or another ritual thing that I know a lot of tribes are doing, a lot of clans and the tribes are doing, and they welcome everybody in, and especially people with blood. So I'd look further into your connections there. I think there's a man, a shaman, in whichever one you really draw, whichever Sundance ceremony or local tribe or nearest tribe or wherever you go to, even if they're not full Cherokee or whatever it is, I think there's a shaman there who is ready and waiting to work with you. It's going to be quite a big experience. There's going to be all sorts of things happening. But it's something that at the moment, right now, you'd say, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that or whatever. But I think it's something that it would do you a lot of good to embrace, even if it's one visit to the tribe or the local clan, and get a feel of the place and then go back. But it's going to be worth your while. It's going to be worth your while helping you to develop to go. Yeah, the Irish and the Scots and the Welsh tend to be a lot of Celts and red-haired people. But there's a lot in you. It's a hell of a mixture to have native and Irish. Oh, good. Well, follow that one up if it's possible. Even if it's just to go for a visit, you might find it's not the right place for you to be, but you will be directed to the place that you are going to be. It's quite there's an awful lot of sunshine about you. Even if it's raining, there's a lot of sunshine about you, a lot of healing energy, like Darlene was mentioning. But I think there's more that you need to do to develop yourself first before you start really progressing. And then once you've done or started on the path that you need to be, you'll find it all suddenly starts to click. And it's going to be quite exciting, quite an adventure. Definitely a roller coaster. And your dog, I keep wanting to say she. I've got a 50-50 chance of being right. But your dog's a bit of a guardian. She sees things in the house. Oh, it'll come. Don't worry, Cheryl, it'll come. Honestly, and that word that we all hated and we talked about earlier, patience. There'll be some of that.
Mm-hmm.
In 6 months' time, you won't recognise who you are today. In a year's time, you'll be more further down the path. It's good. Oh, it's a he. I got that wrong then. Then watch for the dog that's coming in. It's a female. I think there's going to be a female because I keep saying she. This she is going to be a guardian dog. When we're sleeping, when we're developing, when we're doing anything spooky, our animals will often come to us in that dream state, in that meditative state. For example, our dogs are Akitas in this world. In the other side, they're much bigger, much hairier, much darker, and much more protective. But that's the job. They're here to protect us. So even Darlene's little floor mop is in the spiritual world. It's practically a dragon. So it's a spirit animal that's living with us in the real world. I think that's about it. There's in your living room, on a corner unit or corner table, there's a ornament. Can't see what the ornament is. It's a crafted thing. That's the one. A floor mop. Stick a broom up its bottom and do the floor. It's very cute. But in the spiritual world, that's a monster. That's a horror. That one. You wouldn't want to cross it in a dark alley. Anyway, in your living room, I think it is, or between the living room and the dining room, in that corner unit, or at the corner of the unit, there's a handcrafted clay type model or something, a really ornament. I just can't see it. But it's something you need to look at. I'm not quite sure why, but you need to move it from where it is because it's not happy, or it's not creating the best energy for that area. Once you sit and meditate with it, you'll know where it needs to go. If that makes any sense. think that's me, darling.
Well, thank you very much.
That's quite alright.
So I hope that was okay.
One final thing for Cheryl, that grandmother that's with you, she's put down some kindling and lit a little fire, and it's right underneath your bottom. So that means, should not have kicking it. That's the very one. It's just a little fire, but it's you need to start now. Stop saying I'll do it next week, I'll do it when I feel better, I'll do it when just do it. That's your job. Okay.
She says that was a lot of info. Sounds like her great grand.
She sends you an awful lot of love and an awful lot of support. And anytime you're feeling really sad and you don't know what's happening, in your bedroom, hold your hand out. She'll take your hand and she'll sit and she'll brush your hair, and she'll be with you. So put a lot of trust and a lot of love with her. She'll help you sleep. She'll help you keep away the monsters from the cupboard. Over to you, darling.
I'll let you know when the MP3 is up so that you can download it and listen to it again. You always finish off my shows, and I'm so glad that this time I got to record it. I didn't turn off the recording. Okay. Well, I think it's pretty much come to an end for this show. I thank everybody for being here. Those of you who are still here, thank you, Cheryl, Fellini, and Scott, and Wong. And, oh yes, let's see puppies. Next week, I have a new young lady. Alright, I'm not going anywhere. I have a new young lady. Sheila Quinn is her name. And so she will be coming on. She's very interesting. I will be Facebook living and doing all kinds of stuff to let you know about her. And a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to have Stan Castrell. If anybody notices when I put up the Facebook about the animals, he's the animal one. So if you have questions about your spirit guides, animals, get them ready for when Stan comes up on. Second. Stan is on the 4th of March. What is monsters? We got puppies on camera, and they're all going to be preserved. They're puppies. That's a black and white one.
Lovely.
There's a crew running back and forth.
Alright.
This is Teddy. Oh, Lord.
Hello, Teddy. That one's prettier, though.
Aww. That looks like yours, but in a miniature face.
Nah.
Yes. You don't see that, but I see it. I see the Akita in her.
Nah, she's got buggy eyes.
Shut up, I'm gonna smack you. Susie Q, there we go.
Yeah, she's the one that's the demon dog on the other side. You're dreaming and sleeping. Alright, protector she is.
She wears Maybelline. Well, thanks for sharing them, Cheryl. It's cool. You do realize that you're being preserved for it's being recorded. Puppies and all. There you go. Ta-da. On her eyes. Alright, so I shall let everybody go. Y'all be good. I will see you next week. You know, I'll poke around every so often and see everybody during the week. Love you. I'll see you next week, guys.
Mine was reasonably sore as well. Night, fine, night, Cheryl.
Night, everybody.
Ta-da.